wake up in silence. No good morning texts, no lunch dates on the calendar, no one to check in, ask how you're doing, or say, I've got you. And you think, something must be wrong with me. Let me tell you something grounded in biology and truth. Nothing is wrong with you. The world has wired you to believe that your worth is defined by the number of people orbiting your life. But neuroscience tells us something radically different. Solitude is not a deficit. It's a fertile ground. It's the environment where neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire, reforge, and regenerate, actually thrives. Solitude is not social failure. It's a powerful environment for neuroplasticity and self-mastery. In a world that often defines success and value based on social circles, friendships, and external validation, the experience of being without a close-knit group of friends can feel like a personal shortcoming. But let's take a step back and look at the deeper truth from a scientific and psychological perspective. Solitude is not a punishment, it's an opportunity. Our brains are wired for connection, it's true. We are social beings designed to find meaning and purpose through relationships. The human brain thrives when it feels connected to others, and studies show that loneliness can have adverse effects on both our mental and physical health. But just because the absence of friends or companions can feel painful doesn't mean that it signals something broken in you. In fact, that discomfort might be one of the most profound catalysts for your growth and self-discovery. Neuroscience shows us that our brains are capable of neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections in response to learning, experience, and even adversity. When you are alone, free from the distractions and expectations of others, your brain enters a unique state of plasticity. This state allows you to reflect, recalibrate, and rewire how you think, how you feel, and how you act in the world. This is where your deepest transformation can take place, when you're given the mental space to explore, analyze, and learn in ways you couldn't when constantly interacting with others. Solitude, when approached with intention, gives you the chance to work on your self-mastery. You learn how to regulate your emotions without relying on someone else to soothe you. You begin to cultivate a level of emotional resilience that can only come from facing your thoughts and feelings without distraction. In those moments when you are truly alone with yourself, you are confronted with your inner world, your fears, your desires, your strengths, and your weaknesses. And through this confrontation, you can begin to grow. This environment of solitude is essential for building self-awareness. You have the time and space to understand who you are at the core. Who are you without the influence of others? Who are you when you don't have to put on a mask, play a role, or live up to someone else's expectations? Solitude provides the opportunity to uncover the most authentic version of yourself. It's a time to reflect on your purpose, your goals, your values, and what truly matters to you. Not because others expect you to follow a certain path, but because it resonates deeply with your own sense of self. Moreover, solitude helps to develop cognitive flexibility. Being alone means you must become more resourceful in how you think and problem solve. You don't have someone else to bounce ideas off of immediately. Instead, you rely on your own mind to find solutions, think critically, and chart your own course. This builds confidence and intellectual independence, qualities that are invaluable both in your personal and professional life. There is a powerful, underrated beauty in learning to stand alone. You become your own best friend, your own support system, and your own greatest cheerleader. Through this process, you discover that your worth doesn't come from the number of people around you, but from the strength you build within yourself. The ability to be at peace with your own company and to learn from moments of solitude allows you to enter the world with a more balanced, grounded sense of self. In this sense, solitude is not something to avoid or fear. It is not a marker of being unloved or unwanted. Rather, it is a space where you can begin to understand your deepest needs, desires, and dreams without the external noise. It's the perfect environment for self-mastery. And when you begin to master your own mind, your own heart, and your own life, you may find that you attract the right relationships into your life, not because you need them, but because you are radiating the strength and authenticity that real connection is built on. So the next time you find yourself in a season of solitude, don't rush to fill it with distractions or chase after superficial connections. Embrace it. Use this time to fortify your mind, align with your purpose, and ultimately become the most empowered version of yourself. Because in solitude, you will find not loneliness, but the greatest opportunity for transformation. Connection begins with internal coherence. Regulate your nervous system before reaching outward. This is a concept that's often overlooked in our world that places so much emphasis on external validation and the constant need to connect with others. It's easy to think that our social bonds are defined by how we interact with the people around us, but the truth is much deeper. True connection with others begins with the ability to regulate ourselves, our emotional states, our thoughts, and our physiological responses to the world around us. If we cannot create internal coherence, it's nearly impossible to form healthy, meaningful connections with others. At the core of this idea is the nervous system, a highly sophisticated network in our bodies that controls not just our physical movements, but also our emotional responses, our thoughts, and our perception of the world. The autonomic nervous system, specifically, plays a key role in regulating how we respond to stress, joy, anxiety, and every emotional nuance in between. There are two main branches of this system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system activates the body's fight or flight response, preparing us for action, while the parasympathetic system is responsible for calming and restoring balance. This is the system that helps us return to a state of rest and repair. When we are in a constant state of external stimulation, whether through social interactions, work pressures, or technology, our sympathetic nervous system is often in overdrive. We become anxious, reactive, and disconnected from our true feelings. The result is a chaotic internal state that spills over into our interactions with others. How can you genuinely connect with someone when you're overwhelmed, stressed, or emotionally off-center? It becomes nearly impossible. In fact, much of the miscommunication, conflict, and superficial connections we experience stem from individuals who are out of balance internally. When you can't regulate your own emotions and thoughts, those around you will feel the disconnect even if they're unaware of it. The foundation of creating lasting, authentic relationships with others is not based on how many people you interact with, but on how well you understand and manage your internal state. The more you practice self-regulation, the more attuned you become to your own emotions and physiological reactions. This, in turn, makes you more attuned to others. You'll find that when you are grounded in your own sense of well-being, you naturally become more empathetic and present in your relationships. So how do you begin to regulate your nervous system and create internal coherence? It begins with self-awareness. The first step is recognizing when you are out of balance. Are you constantly anxious, overwhelmed, or reactive in certain situations? Do you find it hard to relax or settle your thoughts at the end of the day? These are signals from your nervous system that you are in a state of imbalance. Once you become aware of these patterns, you can begin to intentionally practice techniques to restore balance. Breathwork is one of the most effective tools to help regulate the nervous system. Slow, deliberate breathing activates the parasympathetic system and signals to your body that it's safe to relax. Meditation and mindfulness practices help calm the mind and create a sense of emotional equilibrium. Exercise, particularly in nature, is another powerful way to engage both the body and mind in regulating your emotional state. When you move, you release pent-up energy and activate the body's natural processes for reducing stress and improving mood. By establishing practices that support your internal coherence, you begin to create a foundation of stability within yourself. This makes it easier to navigate the ups and downs of life with clarity and emotional strength. And when you reach out to connect with others, you do so from a place of genuine stability. You're not seeking external validation to soothe your inner turmoil. Instead, you're offering your authentic self, calm, present, and centered. Connection is not about trying to be someone you're not to fit in or be liked. It's about showing up as your true self, grounded and whole. When you regulate your nervous system and cultivate internal coherence, you become magnetic in your authenticity. The right people will be drawn to you, not because you've tried to change for them, but because you've cultivated the strength and peace within yourself. These connections will be deep, supportive, and nourishing because they are built on the foundation of mutual understanding and respect, not on the need for external validation or approval. So remember, true connection doesn't begin with others, it begins with you. By learning to regulate your internal world and achieve coherence in your own nervous system, you pave the way for meaningful relationships that support, elevate, and enrich your life. The power to create connection is not external, it is internal. and it starts with the way you care for your own mind and body. When you're able to find balance within, you'll find that the connections you make with others will naturally follow, and they will be the right kind of connections. Social bonds aren't always quantity-based. It's the quality of self-awareness that magnetizes real relationships. In a world that often celebrates large circles of friends, social media popularity, and the appearance of constantly being surrounded by others, it can be easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the number of people in your life determines your worth or happiness. But the truth is, the depth and authenticity of your relationships matter far more than the sheer volume of them. The quality of your social bonds and the kind of person you become in those connections are what truly matter. Self-awareness plays a crucial role in this dynamic. In order to form meaningful, authentic relationships, you first must understand yourself, your values, your desires, your boundaries, and your emotional responses. If you don't understand yourself, you'll inevitably end up in relationships that are built on shallow connections, misaligned values, or even dependency rather than mutual respect and understanding. It's easy to be surrounded by people, but that doesn't guarantee those relationships will be fulfilling or nourishing. You might find yourself in friendships that are draining, superficial, or even toxic, and wonder why you feel unfulfilled despite having a social network. The key to cultivating real, lasting relationships is rooted in knowing yourself deeply. When you are self-aware, you are not just reactive to the emotions and needs of others. Instead, you are grounded in your own identity and emotions. You understand what you need from relationships, what you can give, and where your boundaries lie. You are not seeking validation or approval from others, but are rather seeking connections based on shared values, mutual respect, and emotional resonance. This self-assurance and clarity about who you are allow you to seek out and nurture relationships that truly align with your personal growth and well-being. When you are deeply self-aware, you also become a better listener and a more empathetic individual. You no longer approach relationships from a place of neediness or expectation, but from a place of understanding and openness. This creates the space for authentic, high-quality connections to form. People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves because there is an energy of trust and presence that comes with it. By being comfortable with who you are, you create an environment where others feel safe and encouraged to be themselves as well. This gives rise to more meaningful and genuine connections that go beyond surface-level interactions. Moreover, when you focus on the quality of your relationships, you become less concerned with external validation. You are no longer trying to maintain friendships or seek social approval for the sake of appearances. Instead, you are intentionally curating the relationships in your life based on the depth of connection and shared values. This mindset allows you to let go of relationships that no longer serve your growth or happiness, and to prioritize those that truly uplift and support you. It's not about keeping up with social trends or fitting into a group for the sake of belonging. It's about finding your tribe, the people who align with who you are at your core. When you shift your focus from quantity to quality, you also create more space for authentic self-expression. You no longer feel the pressure to fit a mold or act in a way that pleases others. Instead, you show up as your true self, confident in your identity. This, in turn, invites others to do the same. The result is a group of individuals who are not only supportive of each other, but who also respect each other's individuality. It's in these kinds of environments that true personal growth happens, where each person can evolve without fear of judgment, because the foundation of the relationship is based on mutual trust and understanding. As you cultivate more self-awareness, you'll begin to realize that the friendships and relationships that truly matter are those that foster your growth, enrich your life, and provide a space where both parties can thrive. You won't feel the need to surround yourself with countless people to feel validated, because you'll already have the internal validation you need to live authentically. Instead of accumulating friends for the sake of social status, you will naturally attract those who resonate with the real, unmasked version of you. In this way, self-awareness becomes the key to unlocking high-quality relationships. It allows you to invest in relationships that truly add value to your life, and it enables you to build a social circle that is grounded in authenticity, trust, and mutual respect. You are no longer chasing quantity, you are cultivating the kind of relationships that nourish your soul and help you become the best version of yourself. And when you focus on the quality of those relationships, you create a deep, lasting sense of connection that will not only enrich your life, but will also have a profound impact on the lives of those around you. Loneliness and isolation activate similar neural circuits as physical pain, but they're adaptive signals, not life sentences. In modern society, being alone is often perceived as something to be avoided at all costs, and loneliness is frequently labeled as a negative or undesirable experience. It is easy to feel that loneliness is a flaw, or worse, a permanent condition that signifies some sort of failure. Yet, from a biological and neurological perspective, loneliness serves as an important signal. It is a message from our brain and body, much like physical pain, alerting us to a deeper need that requires attention. Understanding the neuroscience behind loneliness can transform how we approach it and help us view it not as a life sentence, but as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Our brains are wired for connection, and when we are isolated or lonely, our brains activate the same neural pathways as when we experience physical pain. This is because both emotional and physical pain share common evolutionary purposes. They alert us to something that needs attention. Just as physical pain warns us that something is wrong with our body, the emotional pain of loneliness signals that something is missing in our social or emotional world. These neural circuits aren't designed to punish us. They are designed to keep us safe and to guide us toward the relationships and environments that will meet our needs. But here's the critical point. Loneliness doesn't mean we are doomed to be alone forever. It doesn't indicate an irreversible state. Just as physical pain eventually dissipates when we treat the underlying cause, loneliness too can pass once we address the root causes. The key is to recognize that loneliness, rather than being an indicator of something wrong with us, is a signal from our brain that we need to take action to fulfill our social and emotional needs. This is an important distinction, because when we reframe loneliness as an adaptive signal rather than a permanent condition, we become empowered to take constructive steps to address it. From an evolutionary standpoint, loneliness is designed to push us into action, to seek connection. In ancestral times, humans were social creatures, and isolation posed a threat to survival. Those who didn't bond with others were at a disadvantage when it came to finding food, shelter, and protection. Today, though the risks have evolved, the brain continues to respond to loneliness in a similar way. It encourages us to connect, to reach out, and to create relationships that will help us feel safe, supported, and emotionally fulfilled. When we understand loneliness in this context, it becomes clear that it's not a punishment, but rather an essential tool that can lead us back to meaningful connections. However, just because loneliness is an adaptive response doesn't mean it's always easy to address. The modern world presents its own unique challenges in overcoming isolation. We live in an age where social media has redefined the way we interact, and many of us can be surrounded by people yet still feel profoundly alone. But loneliness isn't simply about being physically alone, it's about a perceived lack of meaningful connection. This is why it's possible to feel lonely even when surrounded by others. And while loneliness can certainly feel overwhelming, it is essential to remember that it is temporary and that it is a guide that points us in the direction of what we need: genuine human connection. One of the most powerful ways to address loneliness is through intentional connection, which starts with building self-awareness. When we are aware of what causes us to feel isolated, we can begin to make conscious choices to change that. Whether it's reaching out to a trusted friend, joining a group with similar interests, or simply allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and open to new connections, there are countless ways to reestablish the bonds we need to feel supported. This requires action, and this action is the antidote to the loneliness that we feel. It's a reminder that loneliness is not a permanent condition, but an invitation to re-engage with life in a more connected and authentic way. Moreover, it's important to remember that there is no shame in loneliness. It is a human experience, one that everyone faces at some point in their lives. Rather than feeling ashamed or defeated by it, we can view loneliness as a natural part of the human condition, an emotion that guides us toward what we need to thrive. Loneliness, like all emotions, is temporary, and when we listen to its signals, we give ourselves the opportunity to heal, grow, and connect in ways that are authentic and fulfilling. Ultimately, loneliness can serve as a powerful catalyst for self-reflection and growth. It teaches us what truly matters in our relationships and pushes us toward deeper, more meaningful connections. Instead of fearing it or viewing it as something to be avoided, we can learn to embrace loneliness as an essential part of the human experience. It is, in its own way, a guide that helps us reconnect with others and with ourselves, helping us create the emotional and social connections that are necessary for a fulfilling life. The key is not to view loneliness as a life sentence, but as a temporary and adaptive signal that, when understood and addressed, can lead to greater connection, self-discovery, and fulfillment. Purpose and routine structure biological resilience, meaning isn't found through others, it's built within. In a world that often prioritizes external validation and seeks fulfillment through the approval of others, it's easy to overlook the profound power of internal purpose and routine. The constant pressure to measure success by social comparison or to seek external accolades can leave us feeling hollow, anxious, and disconnected. The truth, however, is that our greatest resilience, our deepest sense of meaning, and our most fulfilling experiences are built from within. The key to this lies in understanding that purpose and routine are the foundational elements that shape our psychological and physiological resilience. Purpose is not something we find by looking outward. It is something we cultivate from within ourselves. While it is true that relationships, careers, and social recognition can contribute to a sense of purpose, they do not define it. True purpose is personal, intrinsic, and deeply tied to our core values and passions. It's the driving force that gives us direction, and it doesn't need to be grandiose or universally recognized to be powerful. The pursuit of something meaningful to us, something that aligns with our values, can provide a deep sense of fulfillment and motivation, regardless of external acknowledgement. When we have a clear sense of purpose, we engage more deeply with life. We approach challenges with resilience and determination, knowing that our actions are aligned with something larger than ourselves. Purpose drives us to keep moving forward, even when obstacles arise or when we encounter setbacks. This sense of direction is essential for cultivating mental and emotional strength because it allows us to endure adversity with a sense of meaning. Purpose provides us with the psychological stamina to persist when things get tough because we are anchored in a cause or a goal that resonates deeply within us. Routine, too, plays an essential role in supporting both purpose and resilience. Our biology is wired for structure, and routines provide the predictability and stability that our nervous systems need to function optimally. When we create positive, intentional routines, we are not only cultivating consistency, but also reinforcing our sense of control and self-efficacy. Routine allows us to take small, manageable steps every day toward our larger goals, and these incremental actions accumulate into significant progress over time. The repetition of beneficial habits forms neurological pathways that strengthen our capacity for self-discipline and focus, further enhancing our ability to navigate life's challenges with resilience. Moreover, routines can create a sense of mastery and accomplishment. When we follow a routine, we are actively shaping our environment and controlling our actions in ways that foster a sense of self-mastery. This mastery is not about perfection, but about consistency and the process of continually moving forward. Even when things don't go as planned, having a routine provides a structure to return to, helping us reestablish a sense of normalcy and balance. Building a life centered on purpose and routine also helps protect us from the emotional turbulence that can arise from external factors. When we rely solely on others for validation or success, we place our sense of worth outside ourselves, making us vulnerable to disappointment, rejection, or the fleeting nature of external praise. But when our sense of purpose is intrinsic, when our routines are intentional and serve us, we become less reliant on others for our happiness. We derive meaning from within, which makes us more resilient to the ups and downs of life. This internal resilience is the foundation of true well-being. It means that even in moments of isolation or when external circumstances change, we are grounded in our own sense of purpose and inner strength. We don't need others to complete us, we are complete on our own. This self-sufficiency doesn't mean we isolate ourselves or reject the value of social connection. It simply means that our happiness and fulfillment are not contingent upon others meeting our needs. Instead, we meet our own needs through purposeful action and disciplined routines. In this way, the most powerful source of meaning in life comes from within. When we are rooted in purpose and guided by intentional routines, we cultivate a resilience that is both biological and psychological. This internal foundation allows us to weather the storms of life and to create a life that is rich in meaning and fulfillment. It's a life where we are not passive recipients of external circumstances, but active creators of our own reality. Through purpose and routine, we build resilience that empowers us to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength, making our journey not just about what we achieve, but about who we become along the way. The journey of understanding and embracing solitude, self-awareness, loneliness, and internal purpose is one of profound transformation. As we navigate the complexities of our emotional and social landscapes, we discover that true growth doesn't come from the validation of others, but from the work we do within ourselves. Solitude, often feared or misunderstood, becomes a powerful space for self-discovery, where we learn to master our own emotions, thoughts, and responses. In turn, this mastery enables us to cultivate deeper, more authentic connections with others, relationships that are built on a foundation of mutual understanding and respect. Through the practice of self-regulation, we unlock our ability to create meaningful bonds, not from a place of neediness, but from a place of internal coherence and strength. The loneliness we sometimes experience isn't a permanent condition, but an adaptive signal that directs us toward what we truly need, a sense of connection that aligns with our authentic selves. It reminds us that vulnerability and self-awareness are key in forging real, enriching relationships, and that the most valuable connections are the ones where we are able to be our true, unmasked selves. As we cultivate a clear sense of purpose and intentional routine, we build a life that is anchored in our own internal resilience. Purpose is not something we find externally. It is nurtured within through consistent, purposeful action aligned with our core values. Routine provides the structure and stability that our biology craves, helping us stay on course when life's challenges arise. Together, these elements form the foundation of emotional and psychological strength, guiding us through adversity and allowing us to face life with unwavering clarity and focus. Ultimately, the most powerful relationships, the deepest sources of meaning, and the greatest sense of fulfillment are those that come from within. It's in the quiet moments of solitude that we discover who we truly are, and it's from that place of self-awareness that we can create lives of purpose, connection, and strength. When we understand that the key to resilience and fulfillment lies not in the quantity of friends or external approval, but in the quality of our internal world, we empower ourselves to navigate life with confidence, joy, and authentic connection. We are the architects of our own meaning, and it is through the work we do within that we transform our lives into something truly extraordinary.